Hello, this is Connor. I'm just out here fishing as I'm normally used to do, and as opposed to taking pictures all the time and having people asking questions and trying to get people involved, I thought, well, why don't we try and make a video a little bit. I got it on my phone now, so got a good gigabyte card in here, so I should be able to take something decent and give you guys kind of a layout of how I do things. Anyway, what you're staring at right here is my catfishing rod. Actually, this is a brand new rod, but it's exactly the same as the other one I have. This one's just designed for an open face reel, since it's got the wider loops at the top here, and then of course narrowing out as it goes up to the tip. But otherwise, it's a 7-foot rod. It's a medium to heavy action, 20 pound, and it can take up to 25-pound line on it. And right now I've got 20-pound trilene big game line on it, spooled up on a tactical Eagle Claw open-faced reel, 4-barrel bearing, can take up to 18-pound test. I've got 20 on here. I just don't have as much on here, so it's not filling the spool up. As you can see, real basic rod. I think this one cost me 20 bucks. And the reel itself was, I think, the most expensive part is 30. Underneath here is my actual rig and terminal rig. So what I've got here, I can actually show you here if I can get this loose. Okay. This is the rig itself. And this is what I've caught 90% of my cats on. And that's ranging from anywhere from a 2-pound cat to a 20-pound cat. So you see right there you have just your regular sinker weight. I use like the Bell sort of donut-shaped weights. That's 2 ounces of lead on there. I could go as high as 4. I stay right around 2 or 3, no less than that. That's what stays in my tackle box. Right up here I got 2 swivels. I got one that's actually slipping on the main line here. That's the weight. It actually goes over the knot. Sorry about that. It actually is freely slipping on here, so that goes down to the weight. So the weight is actually a slip sinker setup, but it's got its own little leader there. And then I've got another swivel going out to I think this is a 1/0 Gamakuchi circle hook. And it's a circle hook because if you tell real close there, the hook point actually bends in towards the shank, making the gap of the hook actually a lot smaller. But it also makes it so when the fish takes the hook and tries to turn its head, this will actually turn and catch the lip. So it usually means you always have a mouth-hooked fish as opposed to having a throat-hooked or gut-hooked fish. So that's the beginning, and we'll go from there. So, okay, so you can see out here, I've got my line in the water. So the trilene's heading out there to a spot right around here where you can see there's sort of a break in the current. I'm a little bit shy of that. So it's a change up in the current. And even though we're not dealing with necessarily a channel, any change in the current is where you want to target, because it's those changes in water where fish will either hang out on one side in the swift current, or they'll be in the shallow kind of lax current near shore, because they can go out and ambush, come back, they can take their time, basically they can help them find food. Now I've just pointed out here, there's a bell in the end. Why the bell? Basically because for one thing, if you have a real light hit and you're using a hook that needs to have a hook set, that bell will indicate the hit, and then you can get up and snag it quick in case you miss it, because it could be very, very light. But there's also current in the water, and there's all sorts of floating debris, and all sorts of other stuff there that could also make your rod tip bounce. And as opposed to jumping up at every little movement, the bell will only really go off if the rod's really going hard, and that's usually a catfish hit. So that kind of makes you patient. It forces you to leave your rod alone and really wait for the big ones to get hooked up there, as opposed to watching the rod. So, okay, this guy doesn't like being caught at all, but here's the first one here. Things to keep in mind: he doesn't like it. This is a male for sure, because you can tell by the bumps in the head. You see he's got this very broad sort of eyebrows there, all along the head right there. Sorry, wait until he calms down a bit. He just got out of the water. The thing you want to watch out for are here on the fins, the dorsal fin, and over here are almost like a walleye spikes. Like in the dorsal fin of a walleye, there'll be really sharp spines. This guy's just those 3, but as you can see, he's flipping back and forth, and he can get you pretty good that way. Kind of a pretty good-sized one. I haven't lifted him yet to see what he is, but these guys here, everybody always thinks that these are the poisonous parts. They are not. Actually, if you're touching those, it just bugs the fish. And the easiest way to grab them is just by the mouth. And actually, the mouth here, right underneath here, doesn't really have any teeth per se. You can also grab under the gills in various other places. I usually will grab somewhere in the head and then grab the tail, and then I can avoid the spines altogether. So, hey, it's Connor here. I'm just catfishing on the Red River. I have my bell on my rod set, although it's probably a little too bright for you to see it. And I've got my pole and a nice natural organic rod holder, my net nearby just in case. And I'm just waiting for the next fish to hit. And I thought I'd go on a little bit more about catfishing rigs and setups. I've already caught a couple tonight, so obviously what I'm doing is working. I'm fishing right around 5 to 8 o'clock. You know, late afternoon, early evening, I have the best luck. When I start not being able to see is when I stop fishing, because then at that point it's kind of open game. And you could fish in the flats, you could fish anywhere. And I like to go to a place that when it comes to sundown I can quit. Now, I've already got my line in the water, and I've actually got a real small piece of bait that's sort of washed out by now. But as you can see, my rod is actually tipping quite a bit. You can see this kind of action going on here. But there will be a gentle kind of tugging all the time anyway, due to the river current and due to the bait actually being pulled by the current, as well as the weight maybe bumping around the bottom. Which is completely normal and natural, which is why we have the bell. The bell will indicate any sharp strikes and any actual hookups and hook sets. And since I'm using circle hooks, these do not require a hook set. So you actually sit there and wait for the fish to catch itself, and you do not touch the rod until then. Otherwise, you'll pull the hook right out of the fish's mouth. But as right now, it looks like we're just having gentle action. Like I said, the bait's pretty washed out. You want to be able to change your bait every 45 minutes or so. Oh, looks like we got a few little tiny nibbles there. But still, every 45 minutes you want to check your bait, and if it is, you know, not letting out any more juices, doesn't look like it's got any more flavor to it, then you definitely want to change it for something fresher, bloodier, something a little crisper that'll let a lot more scent into the water, because that's the whole name of the game. Is you're bringing the fish to you through scent, through oils, through whatever your bait is releasing the instant it hits the water. So.